Let's jump right into this explainer. Back in 2015, a massive steel cargo ship was completely lost to the sea. And the crazy thing is, it wasn't just because of a brutal storm. It was this perfect, devastating storm of mechanical failure, freak meteorological anomalies, and honestly, some seriously outdated human psychology. What we're looking at here is the story of one of the most tragic, complex, and absolutely avoidable maritime disasters in modern American history.
Oh man, the clock is ticking. I have a marine emergency. Just listen to those words. That chilling distress call came through on the morning of October 1st, 2015, from Captain Michael Davidson. And shortly after he made that transmission, his ship, the El Faro, just vanished off the coast of the Bahamas. 33 souls were on board. The stakes here were literally life and death. But to really understand how they ended up in a position to make that desperate call in the first place, we need to jump back a few days and see how this whole voyage started.
Section 1. A routine milk run. The 790-foot El Faro departs Jacksonville.
So the El Faro was this robust 40-year-old workhorse of a cargo ship. On September 29th, you had a highly experienced crew of 33 people. We're talking veteran Captain Michael Davidson, second mate Danielle Randolph, and able seaman Frank Ham, and they head out from Florida for what was supposed to be a totally routine 4-day milk run down to Puerto Rico. Nothing special. But right while they're peacefully sailing out of Jacksonville, this massive storm system is brewing about 700 miles to the east. By the morning of September 30th, it becomes Hurricane Joaquin. By that night, it's a Category 3. You've basically got these two separate timelines rapidly converging on one exact spot in the ocean.
Section 2. The rapid intensification. Hurricane Joaquin's explosive growth.
Now, initially, nobody was really panicked. Hurricanes are just a normal part of life when you're sailing off the coast of Florida, and the crew figured, hey, we'll just divert around it like we always do. But Joaquin did something terrifying. It underwent a meteorological phenomenon known as rapid intensification. It was moving really slowly over exceptionally warm ocean water, and because of that, it acted literally like an engine hooked up to an unlimited fuel line. It just kept extracting massive amounts of heat energy, dramatically increasing its wind speed in under 24 hours. It completely defied all the normal forecasting models.
By 1:30 a.m. on October 1st, Joaquin was packing sustained winds of 120 miles per hour. It had mutated from a tropical storm into an absolute monster, practically overnight. Section 3. The fatal disconnect. A captain relying on ghosts.
Down on the bridge, the mates are waking up to this terrifying reality. They are on a direct collision course with a 120-mile-per-hour buzzsaw. They're staring at the SAT-C system, which is printing out these real-time screaming alerts showing them heading straight for the eye of the hurricane. But here's the fatal disconnect. Captain Davidson had already gone to his cabin to sleep, and he was relying on a totally different system called BVS, which sent weather updates directly to his email. His system showed a totally clean track to sneak right around the storm. The problem? Those BVS emails were 6 hours out of date. The captain was navigating by the ghost of a storm that wasn't even there anymore.
The wild thing is, we know exactly what the crew was feeling in that moment because the ship's voyage data recorder, the black box, was recovered months later. At 2 a.m., second mate Danielle Randolph is plotting the ship's actual real-time coordinates, and the transcript captures this deeply nervous, almost sarcastic realization. She plots the track, laughs this incredibly dark laugh, and says, "Looks like the storm is coming right for us. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. We're gonna go right through the eye."
Which brings us to a massive psychological puzzle. If the bridge crew knew for a fact that they were sailing directly to their deaths, why didn't they take control of the ship? Well, throughout the night, multiple mates, including third mate Jeremy Ream and second mate Daniel Randolph, called the captain in his cabin. They spoon-fed him the real-time data. They pleaded with him to take alternate routes to shelter behind some nearby islands, and every single time the captain just dismissed their concerns from his bed, ordering them to just run it.
To really understand why highly trained, brilliant professionals let this happen, we actually have to look at the aviation industry. Back in 1978, a United Airlines flight crashed in Oregon for a really stupid reason. It just ran out of fuel. The flight engineer knew they were completely out of fuel, but he wouldn't forcefully countermand the captain's decision to delay the landing. This tragedy revealed a massive flaw in what we now call crew resource management. Subordinates are sometimes so heavily conditioned to obey authority that they will literally let a disaster unfold rather than commit mutiny.
And let me tell you, that dangerous psychological dynamic, it is magnified times 100 at sea. Maritime tradition goes back 10,000 years, and it's built on an incredibly rigid chain of command. The unwritten rule of the sea is literally the captain is the sole master aboard after God. Danielle Randolph and the rest of the crew knew they were heading into extreme, fatal danger, but they were paralyzed by this deeply ingrained hierarchy. So they followed their orders.
Section 4. The Final Hours. The Domino Effect of Sinking.
So at 4:09 a.m., Captain Davidson finally returns to the bridge, entirely unaware that the eye of the hurricane is now barely 25 miles away. And this is where the mechanical dominoes start to fall. First, 70-mile-per-hour winds push the ship into a severe 15-degree list or a heavy lean to the right side. Massive waves start washing right over the deck, flooding Hold 3. To stop the flooding, the captain intentionally steers the ship to lean 15 degrees the exact opposite way, over to port. But here's the fatal design quirk. That heavy lean actually lifts the engine's oil suction pipe completely out of the oil pan. It starts sucking nothing but air, and because of that, the main engine completely shuts down at 6:13 a.m.
And that right there is the point of absolutely no return. You have a 790-foot steel giant that is now entirely dead in the water smack in the middle of a Category 4 hurricane. Without the engine's power to steer the bow into the oncoming waves, the ferocious wind just blows the El Faro completely onto its side. With the ship rolled over like that, massive gulps of the ocean begin flooding straight down her ventilation shafts.
The awful truth is the crew on the bridge knew exactly what was happening. Earlier in the night, Danielle Randolph had hung up the phone with the sleeping captain, turned to her crewmate, and with this incredibly dark laugh said, "He said to run it. Hold on to your ass." And even as the ship was violently rolling and literally dying in the water, Danielle somehow maintained her spunky demeanor, miraculously offering to make the captain and the helmsman a cup of coffee. It was this tragic, helpless awareness of their fate, masked by just incredibly brave, dark humor.
At 7:29 a.m., the captain finally sounds the alarm to abandon ship, but it's way too late. The lifeboats are already getting crushed by the waves. The final moments captured on the ship's black box are absolutely heartbreaking to listen to. It's just the captain and able seaman Frank Hamlop on the bridge. The ship is actively going down. Frank, terrified and slipping, screams out, "You're gonna leave me? Just help me." And at 7:30 a.m., the ship is completely submerged, and the recording abruptly cuts to dead silence. Section 5. The Ham Alert Act. The Legacy of an Avoidable Disaster.
For days after, the Coast Guard flew through terrible turbulence, sweeping over 184,000 square miles of ocean. But all they found were crushed lifeboats and an oil slick. It took months for a deep-sea submersible to finally find the wreck, sitting upright in the mud 15,000 feet below the surface. When the National Transportation Safety Board launched a massive investigation into this, their findings made one thing incredibly clear. This wasn't just a failure of machinery against extreme weather. It was a failure of leadership. The primary cause was the captain's fatal reliance on outdated weather software and his active failure to listen to his own crew. The NTSB explicitly stated that the rigid, antiquated maritime hierarchy simply had to be replaced with modern, team-based communication. But out of this unimaginable heartbreak, a truly positive legacy was forged. Frank Ham's wife, Rochelle, absolutely refused to let the crew's deaths be in vain. She fought tirelessly for change, and in 2018, the Ham Alert Maritime Safety Act was signed into law. It created a whistleblower's charter for mariners. Ships now have to have an anonymous emergency button. So today, if a captain is acting recklessly, any crew member can press that button to immediately and anonymously alert the Coast Guard. It completely protects their jobs, and much more importantly, it protects their lives.
Which leaves us with this final thought to chew on. We have incredible satellite weather tracking. We have deep-sea submersibles. We have instantaneous global communication. But all the technology in the world means absolutely nothing if the humans operating it are paralyzed by tradition. As our systems become more and more advanced, we have to ask ourselves, are we truly